Tuesday, the 10th day of March, and we're moving right along. And very pleasant out there today.
Mm-hmm. Temperature's perfect.
In fact, temperatures could rise as high as the 70s today, and good, very conducive for outdoor activity. Of course, the springtime is approaching, and do you reckon the azaleas finally know what to do?
No, they don't know what to do.
I was at the beach, and those Yankees, they don't know what cold is. I mean, they were in there swimming like you wouldn't believe. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, morning.
What's going on in your neck of the woods?
It's a little dark still down here with the daylight savings time.
I know it. I don't know if that's good or bad. What do you think, Rice?
Waiting to see the sun.
I was almost late this morning because I've got a clock in the hallway from the alarm company. It has a little clock on it. And I woke up and checked it, and it said 5:25. And I said, oh, good. I got plenty of time to read up on the coronavirus and do my show prep. Then I went and got on the computer doing my show prep, reading my articles, and I looked at the computer time, and it said 6:25. So the clock on the wall had not been sprung forward. And then I said, ah!
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not me being late. Mike can do this show by himself. It was my wife and kids being late that worried me.
Exactly.
I played drill sergeant and got them up and going in a hurry.
Well, you made it.
Our problem is the last couple of nights we've been out in the yard until about 7, playing and letting the kids run around, and then bath time becomes a little later, and then bedtime becomes a little later. I think we put our kids down the last couple of nights after 9.
Yeah, I'm with you, Michael.
I tell you what, I've kept up with this virus, and everybody says, well, it's like the flu, and of course the flu has killed a lot more people than this has killed, but there's reason to believe, though, that this is something very unusual, the way this virus is working, and it scares me. It scares me because if it gets to the point where you can't have outdoor events such as football games and baseball games, whatever, what would this country do?
I would go into a deep depression.
I mean, could you see them saying that all SEC football games will be canceled, or we'll play the game but nobody can be in the stands? How about that?
We talked about that with SEC basketball tournament in Nashville already.
Isn't that crazy? And so far, knock on wood, or knock on wood, there has not been anybody from Alabama come down with the. Now, this guy's been coughing ever since for the last 20 years, it seems like.
Well, I've gotten pneumonia 2 times in 5 months, and somebody told me that when you start getting this pneumonia, you get it more often. You become more susceptible to it.
Steve Kemp is the most unusual person I know. He comes in here and had complete shoulder surgery, and he's back on the playing field. I mean, it's amazing, this guy, how tough he is,
Oh, he is tough. But I think the odds of somebody in my family getting the coronavirus are about the same as getting struck by lightning. And then if you get it, you're going to probably be fine. I mean, unless you're...
You really believe that the odds are that great, like being struck by lightning? That you can get the coronavirus?
Probably close to that. If you count how many people have died by lightning strikes a year, I think there's been 13 deaths in America, and you know how many people die from lightning strikes in America. And then they say if you get it, the people that are dying are the older people whose immune system is already down.
Well, I tell you what, that didn't make very much sense. What's the percentage of somebody being struck by lightning?
I would say, the odds of you getting and dying from this disease are like 1 in 30 million. What's the odds?
Oh man, that is. I tell you now, that's.
Well, you can do the math. There have been about 4,000 people in the world that have died from it. There are 8.2 billion people on the planet. 8.2 billion people have died from it. There are 8.2 billion people on the planet. 8.2 billion people have died from it. 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 8.2 billion people have died from divide 4,000 into 8.2 billion,
Yeah,
and
you're right.
you'll see what your odds are.
You're exactly
Now
right.
it's going up, and now I'm not. I feel terrible for the people that have it, and you could have it. But my big concern is the economic ripple effects and the panic that's going on. That is already disrupting our world, and it's getting ready to disrupt it a lot more. Things are going to. One bad effect is going to make another bad effect happen.
And
Publix grocery store, which is a huge, national grocery store, and of course.
oh yeah, right here in Troy. I was there last night.
One, and down at the beach, there's about 20. It seems like on in the Florida Panhandle, but they're already limited purchases due to the coronavirus. Hand soap, disinfectants, tissue, rubbing alcohol. I actually went to a Publix yesterday. I was trying to get some emergency pills and some airborne, some kind of gives you a boost to your immune system, and I usually take that kind of stuff anyway. But I mean, on the shelves, alcohol is just totally out. Hand sanitizer is nowhere to be found. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Some of the basic needs you need right now are just, people are just going crazy buying up stuff.
I know it. I noticed it wasn't like that at all in Troy last night.
I asked
though.
my mom, my wife, and she said she didn't see any indications that there had been hoarding
They were very. I was at Publix last night, and as always, not crowded at all. And I mean, and the shelves were overstocked. It looked like to me, and I think it's time though that to take the precautions and buy up a little water and do some things that you need to do for basic necessities.
I've read articles, Mike, that people are criticized for doing that, for prepping and getting ready. Yeah. And my response to that is your first responsibility is to your family. And if you've got to you got to be prepared for the worst. And if you got to get some things now, you go ahead and get them.
And this is not like a bomb's going to hit or anything like that. This is like if you stay away from the public, your chances are much greater that you're not going to come down with it. It's being out in the public and like theaters and like ball games and like anywhere there's a crowd.
Schools,
exactly, and schools in some places have sort of shut down. But so far, like you said, if you look at the percentages, they are much greater, percentages that this won't happen to you.
But the rates they're containing it. It's getting lower in China and South Korea. It's getting worse in Italy.
And the people that they're affecting are people sort of like me, over 70 years old, that might have some few things wrong with them. It could be much more detrimental to them than it could be to a 40-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old that's in good shape.
I shared a bowl of chili with you the other day. I might be in trouble.
Yeah, you're right.
Why not eat that bowl of chili that you didn't finish?
I know it, you're right, but it had too many onions in it. I tell you where the good chili, man, is Mama Goldberg's. Man, I love their chili.
Really? Good.
Oh, man, I love their chili.
I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to.
What you need to do is get you some corn chips and buy you some chili and put those corn chips in there with that chili. Whoa, it's really good.
And we give a lot of business to Mama Goldberg's. I love it. And,
so their chili is really, really good. And you know what they'll do? You eat the chili, and then you tell them you want a refill, and take your refill home.
They charge you for it?
No. They don't charge you for a refill.
I guess it's like going to the old Shoney's lunch bar. You could get all the soup and chili you wanted.
Well, I have been willing to pay for it. Now, let me tell you this. I was willing to pay for it. Said no charge. No charge on refills on chili. And it is really, really good. We appreciate all our sponsors this morning more than you know. Great people, and Dixieland Dental have been around a long time. Noble Manor for assisted living. No better place than Noble Manor on Boss Avenue right here in Troy. And of course, Rice Jr. is all decked out in his getting ready for spring shirt. And evidently,
This is my golf shirt.
premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass, and he's got a huge sale going on right now on the bypass right here in Troy. Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. I also want to say hello to Andy and all the great folks at PS Falk Furniture. Andy Falk's been a great supporter of our show for a long time, and we appreciate him very much. And of course, we're talking about things that are going on in our community.
Breaking news, and Auburn has filled a spot in their 2024 football schedule. It's going to be a Sun Belt Conference school. It's
Oh,
gonna be
no.
Troy.
Is it going to be Troy?
It's going to be La Monroe.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Thank you, Auburn. We appreciate all those bones you've been throwing us, man. I tell you, some dogs been getting those bones and running off with them.
They learned their lesson when they almost lost to Jack State.
Yeah.
They're not going to put schedule Troy.
They don't. Troy has no threat at all to Auburn's program. I mean, if anybody says that, they're crazy.
Auburn's future schedule non-conference. In 2020, they'll play Arkansas. 2020 they'll play Alcorn State,
That goes $1.5 million.
Yep.
North Carolina, and Atlanta. Play the great Matt Brown, Southern Miss, and then UMass. Boy, that is a really horrible non-conference.
I tell you, isn't that going to be something to UMass? Give it to
Any
UMass.
of those games, Alcorn State.
Give that $1.5 million to UMass. Those folks up in Boston need it much worse than these folks down here in Troy. Give all that money to UMass.
And then 2021, it gets a little bit better. Auburn football will have Akron coming to town.
All right, the Zips, the mighty Zips.
Then they'll go on the road. You got to respect Auburn for this and play at Penn State. That'll be a game.
Yeah, $1.5 million
I
to
don't
the
think
Zips.
Auburn's ever played at Penn State. That'll be
I
fun.
don't believe they have either.
Georgia State at home and Alabama State at home.
All right, so that's $1 million for both those guys, Georgia State and Alabama State.
And then in 2022, they'll have Mercer at home.
The Mercer Bears. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mercer Bears are at the Auburn 1-yard line, and there goes the final gun.
San Jose State at home. Penn State at home. And Western Kentucky at home.
The Western Kentucky, what's their nickname?
West Kentucky.
Yeah.
They're the
Hilltoppers.
Oh my goodness.
Hilltoppers. And I want to congratulate the former basketball staff at Troy. They've got them rolling, don't they?
Well, I mean, they won 20 games under Rick Stansbury out there.
Rick Stansbury and two of Troy's top coaches a year ago have won 20 games.
Wow.
Well, you got Coach Cunningham, Coach Grant both joined the staff.
Yeah.
Of Stansbury, the former.
And I'm very, very happy for them, very proud for them. They're two great guys.
In 2025, Auburn is playing South Alabama.
South Alabama in 2025. And throw us a bone, Auburn. Man, oh man, throw us a bone.
Well, you're right. That's kind of that's getting close to Troy right there.
We're poor old Troy. And, of course, South Alabama moves into their new stadium this fall, and that's going to be fun. Great. That's going to really be good for their
So
program.
Auburn was not. They played UAB, haven't they?
Yeah, they played UAB. They played Stanford several times.
They're going to play South Alabama. Why can't they play Troy?
I don't know. What has Troy done to Auburn to break their heart? And I'm sure Red Troy people say, we don't have to have them. We don't have to have them. Well, let me tell you this. It would be very conducive for your schedule to drive up an hour and a half drive to Auburn, get out of the bus, and then sign the check Monday for $1.5 million.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to get Troy on these schedules. If you notice, attendance at college football games is down in some schools, big time down. I think that trend's going to continue. And at some point, the Alabamas and Auburns are going to say, if we're going to have non-embarrassing crowds at our games, we're going to have to schedule somebody like Troy that will bring 10,000 people, and our stadium will be full. We'll make money, or it won't be embarrassing. You see what Auburn's doing it. They're scheduling Alabama State. Why are they doing that? Because they know Alabama State's going to bring
Yeah.
what, 8,000 people to that
Exactly.
game probably.
I mean, it just seems like it's a personal thing, you know. Keep it down home, cuz, you know, is that thing's over with, isn't it, you know?
Yeah, that was.
You
30
know,
years
keep it
ago.
down home, cuz. Well, you know, let me tell you this, you know, he didn't do much to hurt his career, did it? He went on to Troy and coached 25 years and did a great job.
Well, it kind of hurt his career leaving.
Yeah, that's right. It hurt him as far as getting other jobs. You're right. But what a great guy.
There's no doubt in my mind that Larry Penny could have coached in the SEC.
No question about it. No question about it. You know, he hired good people, and look at the young coaches he hired, man, that were outstanding and still are outstanding.
The perfect example is Jim Donnan left Marshall and got the Georgia job.
Yeah, that's right.
If Jim Donnan could have got the Georgia job, Larry Blakeney could have got a job in the SEC out of Troy.
Well, then look at Don Maestri. How did he stay here so long?
Yeah.
And then Chase Riddle, he was kind of older, but still.
Yeah. Don Maestri stayed here 30 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that unreal?
David Phillips was there 31.
Yeah, exactly. And David Felix, and no question in my mind, could they develop a winning program at 1A because they were very good coaches.
They were great recruiters. They were good in the community.
And everybody loved them. You're right. No question about it. Yeah.
What happened to Troy University baseball, Dad? They lost 2 out of 3 down in Pensacola. They lost to Michigan State. They beat Sanford, but then they lost 8-4 to Lafayette on Sunday. I mean, this is a team that started the season 8-1. Now they're 9-7.
And they play Southern Mississippi tonight in Montgomery at the Biscuits Ballpark. I'm going to that game, Mike. I'm gonna be there.
Apparently Troy has 2 pretty good starters, and then no bullpen and no third starter.
Yeah, you're right. You know, one thing that's hurting them is their outstanding pitcher from Cottonwood, Mike. He's had to have surgery, and he's coming back late.
Corey Gill.
Yeah, Corey Gill. Yeah, and Corey Gill's got a major league slider too, and you know, if he can get well, it's going to help him a lot. But right now, he's hurt. He's pitched 4 years at Troy and been outstanding, and hopefully he'll get better. And Troy.
All she did with the Lady Trojans basketball team is win the Sun Belt Conference Championship. She finished 25-4. So
she is
congratulations.
She's a marvelous coach, and
25-4.
she knows how to win, and I think her the thing that makes her win is the players just love her. They just love her, and they don't want to let her down. They want to play hard for her. It's a perfect example of a bunch of players playing hard for their coach.
Yes.
You know, you watch them, Mike, and I mean, buddy, they're running all the time. They really are.
If she makes another NCAA tournament, which it looks like that's a good chance, I mean,
Then they're an automatic berth.
that'd be three NCAA tournament appearances at Troy. How in the world does somebody not come in and grab her?
I know it.
Well,
You're
we
right.
get isn't there an automatic bid with winning the conference?
Oh yeah.
The automatic bid to the NIT, not automatic to the NCAA.
Okay.
Well, the tournament starts this week in New Orleans.
But Troy only has to win 2 games.
Yeah.
They only have to play 2 games in New Orleans.
Oh, I thought. Oh, so the conference tournament starts this weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
they won the regular season conference championship. I mean, that's
Okay, yeah.
The men's conference tournament starts this weekend too, doesn't it? I mean, for the SEC, is that right?
SEC stars, Sun Belt stars.
Yeah,
all those
everybody starts. So it should be something. Of course, the men won only 9 games, and
Yeah, they're out.
hopefully he's out recruiting and recruiting some shooters. You know,
He's down in Brundage. I mean, he's got one of the better players in the state playing at Brundage.
boy, he sure does. And you know,
I haven't heard much
let me
about
just-
that recruiting of that guy. Have y'all?
No, I haven't either. Let me tell you 2 things about him. He had 20 rebounds. Wait a minute. He had 24 points and 20 rebounds and something like 10 blocked shots in that game.
His stat line's
I
amazing.
mean, that is fabulous. And he's a fine young man, too, from what I hear. And, you know,
Seems to me though that he would be one of the top recruits in America.
yeah.
I mean, maybe he is, but I mean, I don't follow the basketball recruiting like I do football recruiting, but I just.
Well,
It was only a couple weeks ago that y'all started talking about this guy, and I said, "Wow."
Yeah, we have a kid from Charles Henderson that plays at St. John's up in New Jersey, and in high school basketball, and the Troy coach was there. I saw him. He was sitting very just a few seats from me. The kid blocked 11 shots in a high school game one night, and I said, "Man, I've never seen the timing," and that's what it is in blocking shots. Is timing on when to go up. You know, here the guy goes up and he blocks the shot. 11 blocked shots in one game, which was had to be a record. And you know what? He moved on and played at a prep school the next year, and then signed with St. John's.
Oh, he didn't finish at Charles Henderson.
No, I don't think he did.
Well,
he finished. He just went on to a prep school.
A lot of people do that.
Playing with Mike Anderson at St. John's.
Well, maybe he needs to go to that prep school to get his grades in order, which is.
Josh Roberts is 6'9", 210 pounds.
And he,
Alabama.
from Troy, Alabama, and he would. I mean, inside. I mean, if you have a shot blocker like that, it intimidates an offense. It really does.
I would start my team around somebody that can block shots like that.
And then the other block shotter was the girl, Amari, and of course Davenport, and she's at Rutgers now for some reason, and tell us how she's doing, Mike. Do you know?
Looking at stats on Josh Roberts right now.
Tell us about Josh Roberts, the young man out of Charles Henderson High School of Troy.
I'm trying to get all that pulled up.
Green Hills Funeral Home is a beautiful place.
St. John's is 16 and 15 under Mike Anderson.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, they'll be in the playoffs. And tell us about this kid.
They're led in scoring by the guy that transferred from Auburn, Mustafa Herod.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Josh Roberts has played in 29 games. He started 28.
Gosh, he starts at St. John's, and we didn't sign him.
Well, did they recruit him? They probably offered him, didn't they?
I don't know.
He doesn't score a whole lot. He's averaging about 5.5 points per game and 6 rebounds a game.
How many block shots?
He leads the team in block shots. He's got 47.
Okay. I didn't know this. He's the best shot blocker I ever saw come out of high school, and
But he's only a sophomore.
yeah, well, that's great.
He'll get better.
And then, how tall is he?
6'9", 210.
You know, he also played football and was a real good receiver. You remember that? How they just throw it up there and he'd go up and get it? Charles Henderson has great athletes come through there all the time, and they've got a center fielder in baseball, Mike, that got hurt, and I don't know if he's going to be back or not, but everybody in the country was talking about him, and I'm trying to think of his name, but he's a baseball player. And
when I was in high school, all those great baseball teams, we never really had Charles Henderson a Division I big-time prospect, except for Sam Drake, who was a couple years after me. But there was one.
Ricky Knotts was a real
Ricky
good.
Knotts played at Troy,
Yeah.
and he had a real good career.
Yeah.
There's several that played at Troy, and a ton that played at junior college. But one player I remember, Alex White. Y'all remember him?
Yeah, I remember him well.
Super fast, was a running back on the state championship football team. Just played 1 year, but was a center fielder in baseball. LSU was a powerhouse in baseball. They offered him a scholarship, and he never got the grades to go play there.
He played at Wallace at Dothan, and I remember he and Mike Lott played on the same team down there, I think.
But Alex White was a tremendous baseball player, and his little brother Tyrone was real good too.
Yeah. Oh, there's just worlds of great athletes that have come through Charles Henderson High School, especially in baseball and basketball and football too. And we were looking at
Davenport is averaging 2.7 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game.
Gosh, she's not even playing much, is she? So
she's a freshman.
She's not. I know, and she's not setting the world on fire. Of course, it takes a little maturity, and I think she'll get better and better. Hopefully, the ATOs are making their walk. I saw them yesterday, Mike, on the way back from the beach, and
Rutgers is pretty good though. 9.
Oh man, that is good. 22 and 9.
Well, St. John's is in New York City, isn't it? And then
They ought to play Troy just because of the connection there, you know.
Rutgers is in New Jersey. God,
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't live in New Jersey. I'm sorry. I have been to New Jersey one time.
Yeah. As I mentioned, Mike, I saw them yesterday. They were walking to Panama City, the ATOs, every year. How about this? You're recruiting people for your fraternity, and you say, if you'll go with us, you get to walk 128 miles every year. I don't know if that's good or bad. What do you think?
I walked.
I know I wouldn't have been a big fan of it.
You remember did y'all have the walkathon when y'all were kids?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We had some guys.
I can't remember what was the charities that you did it for, but it was a 10-mile walk. Everybody in town did it, and I remember I did it one time, and I said, "That's it, 10 miles. That's it for me."
It was. I want to say Kennedy is one that got it started. The fitness part of it and all that.
So I can say I've walked 10 miles one time, but that was the one and only time. Unless we have the apocalypse and the Walking Dead scenario where you have cars no more. How did the pioneers of this country walk across the country?
I know, and how they was able to maneuver. You're right. And why would they want to be uphill like in Troy? You'd have to go up a big old hill to get to Troy,
Yeah.
And
But that kept protected you from floods, didn't it?
yeah, exactly. And tornadoes, would hit it and bounce off. A lot of people say that. And but these ATOs every year they do this for charity. A bunch of their fraternity boys in the spring, and I saw them, Mike, and they were about. Let's see, it was about 20. I would say about 30 of them. And they were resting and was going to walk another 10 miles before it got dark last night. But those guys are relentless, and they're going to walk 128 miles, and they should be in Panama City on Wednesday,
I'll
tomorrow.
tell you, give them something to talk about and remember the rest of their life.
Yeah, no question about it. And some people really enjoy things like that, especially these kids are in good shape, But they had great spirit, and of course, they've completed over three quarters of the trip. So I think they had about 25 miles left in their journey.
My wife's an English teacher, and she teaches the same old books every semester. But this year, she's doing a nonfiction one that's new. A lot of people might have read it. It's called Into the Wild. It's about this college kid from an upper middle class background, went to Emory, I think, in Atlanta, wealthy background. And then he decided he just didn't like the way the world was. He was going to tune out and become like Thoreau and see nature and, exist on as little as he could, right?
Yeah.
And he had a little car, but he would go certain places, then he'd sell the car, and then he would just walk. He'd walk 100 miles, live off the land. Did that for years. His parents didn't even know where he was. Finally, the thing he wanted to do was go into the wilderness in Alaska. And he got up there and walked into the woods in Alaska. And that's where he met his end. And, but his story became a best-selling book and a movie that Sean Penn directed.
Yeah.
And it's a real good book about why he did this and what was going on. And my wife.
He had what was it? He changed his name. What did he change his name to?
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about it. He did something funny. Probably some literary hero of his or something.
And this is a movie out about this?
About 15 or 20 years ago. It's critically received, but it didn't get a huge audience.
Yeah.
Michael's heard of it.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. It was a great movie.
What was the movie about?
Into the Wild.
It's the guy
okay,
that wrote it also wrote Into the Clouds or something. That's about this expedition to the top of Mount Everest that went terribly wrong. He was on this.
Yeah.
The author was, and 12 people died when they were trying to summit Mount Everest.
Oh boy.
He was trying to, the book that he's talking about, Bill talking about there is called Into Thin Air.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, Mike.
The kid was actually trying to leave the bus he had been living in, but he judged the time to leave at the wrong time and couldn't get through the river out of the wilderness.
Yeah.
The problem is they have now that
correction.
almost like a tourist trip now, or like these kids want to experience what this guy experienced. So now kids are even, still trying to make it there and getting killed.
What happened is he walked across the river in some point of the year, and then when he went back, they'd already had the snow, and the snow had melted, and that river he walked across was a raging river, and he couldn't get back across. And he was real weak and sick. He ate some poisoned roots or seeds.
So this is a true story. And,
you all rent the movie. You'd like it.
Yeah, the kid went to Georgia Tech.
Oh boy. Let's mention again ATOs on their way to the beach, and not Bonifay, but Mike. They were on the other side of the beach side of Bonifay.
What's that, Vernon?
Vernon, Florida is where I saw them last night. Vernon, and they were sort of resting, and they had a tent set up.
You probably stopped and yelled at him, did you?
Well, I gave them a couple of big honks and everything.
I thought you could say you give him a cooler Gatorade.
Well, I have before, but I didn't this time. But I did talk to a few of them, and they were all in their spirits.
Was anybody smoking, or everybody just trying to walk and get through it?
Was anybody smoking? No, they weren't smoking. They were all trying to make it.
I used to go play in Troy intramural football games when I was in college, and there'd literally be guys smoking and drinking on the sidelines.
Oh yeah. Well, aren't you proud that you never did take up smoking, and that's the smartest thing you ever did?
It was the craziest thing ever. Like literally, guys would be like playing intramural football and on the sidelines.
If you read about those old NFL players, they say that they go in the locker room at halftime, and a third of them would be smoking in the locker room.
All right, Mike, give us the update on the corona
virus,
and give us some updates.
Is this gonna be a new segment on the show?
Yeah, give us an update.
Everybody else is talking
yes,
about it. We got to talk about it too.
And I think it's something that people are taking it mighty serious. I know that.
The thing I watched yesterday was a clip of Dr. Oz, and he said the main difference between the flu and the coronavirus is how it spreads. So if you were in contact with somebody that has the flu, percentages are that up to 9 people could probably get the flu from being in contact with somebody that has the flu. The percentages are. But then if somebody was in contact with somebody that has coronavirus, it's more likely that 45 people could be infected.
Golly, that is big.
Spreads that much quicker compared to like the common flu. And that's what you're dealing with, in some of these countries like Italy right now.
Yeah.
So I read that, but the most important thing is, people need to learn how to wash their hands correctly too. Wash your fingertips
and wash them for 20 seconds at least.
Yeah.
But Mike,
that's very important as well. Then when you go, my problem is I go to a lot of restaurants, and I'm a condiment guy, so I like A1 sauce, I like 57 sauce. I'm a big salt and pepper guy, so now they got hand crank salt shakers, hand crank pepper shakers.
I know, isn't that the craziest thing in the world?
And then I'm a pepper sauce guy. I like pepper sauce. I mean, so my wife's like telling me to use a napkin and try and do this, try and do that, and I'm having to really consider that. I still go to restaurants as much as I love to go to.
Listen to this before I forget it. McGuire Stanley, this is his name. McGuire Stanley had a 2-run homer for Goshen, and Bryce Williams didn't allow a hit in 6 innings and struck out 5 as Goshen beat Elba 6-1. Danny Cooper also doubled in a run, and Isaac Watkins had a single and a long hit for Elba. Also, Goshen beat Elba again 15-2. This time Brady Johnson had a double. Colin Arnold and Dalton Grantham had hits also for the Goshen Eagles. So Goshen's off to a real good start in baseball. We're talking.
I wanted to make a point about Michael. That was interesting to go into the restaurants that you never think about, grabbing the Heinz 57. I've been reading a lot about coronavirus, and you pick up other little things you've never thought of. The food business, the restaurant business, I've learned a lot of people in the restaurant business
Coffee.
They keep working through illness because they can't leave. If they leave, take sick leave, they're probably going to lose their job. There's nobody that can fill in for them.
Yeah.
So they work through it. And if people start leaving and calling in sick, at these restaurants, the restaurants are in really bad trouble. They don't have anybody that can fill in. So then they're gonna close or get in trouble in a hurry. So it's another one of these little ripple effects we've been talking about.
Well, this Dr. Oz, that's something I have not seen. Now, what Dr. Oz, everybody knows who Dr. Oz is on TV, and he is a pretty smart guy. But he says that the flu, you have a chance to infect, say, 9 other people.
9%.
9 people, I think it said, something like that. Not 9%.
Okay.
9 people.
Yeah, he said people. That's what he said.
Yeah. Okay. In your daily life.
And the corona virus can affect as many as 45 people. So that is a big difference right there on how fast this is going to spread. And any other thing Dr. Oz said? What else did he say?
He's basically preaching about washing your hands correctly, and that was a video I watched yesterday. So you can see that today if you pulled it up.
Now, what do these surgical masks do anything good for you or not?
They said that those do not help at all.
And there are none left in the world.
I asked Joe Watson. He said he can't get them right now. Those that's sad.
Dr. Camille just got back from Morocco and was in Paris before that, and she claims that hardly anybody was wearing masks in the airports.
Yeah, and thank goodness she's back home from being over there. And of course, she said she had a wonderful time going to Morocco. Who would want to go to Morocco?
Well, if you look at all the pictures of the fabrics and quilts and the tile and all the colors, it's got to be like an interior decorator's paradise over there.
Well, I would like to go somewhere that everybody isn't going to, so she found a little cool spot.
All right, let's imagine this, Bill, what this is going to affect. They're talking about people, stay away from people in large groups of people. That's church, that's school,
right?
That's ball
You
game.
want me to go and tell you a church story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we were at the Episcopal Church, and they read out before the service the new rules going forward for coronavirus, so we can no longer have actual communion. When we go down at the end of the service, to we can take
Partake of the wine and the bread.
So we can take the bread now, but we can no longer drink out of the cup, or dip into the cup now. So basically, communion is no more as far as the wine. It's out of play right now. And even now, after the offering plate cannot be passed within us anymore now. And then, after the offering plate, we basically, say peace be with you, and it's kind of when you shake hands and hug the people around you and stuff like that, and kind of greet everybody.
That's a fist, is that right?
That's been done away with as well. So there's no contact whatsoever in our church now.
And you're an Episcopalian.
That's something I would have never thought of either. Yeah.
So we can no longer do communion. We can no longer shake hands or hug at the church. You can no longer even pass the offering plate.
Yeah. Now, schools could be fairly easy if they shut them down and have the learner, be educated at home through the computer. Rice, explain that. How can that be done? It seems like it'd be done pretty easy because most kids have computers. Is that right?
Well, they can do it. I don't know if you'd have to have certain apps or train people. In Troy, they couldn't really do it. I don't think.
You don't think they could do it at home?
Well, does everybody have a computer? I mean, so
I think
in Maggie's second grade class, how many people have iPads or desktop computers?
Yeah, but that young, you're right. It'd be probably junior high on up, probably.
But, yes, and you can do home learning fairly easily if you have the devices.
But church,
software.
I can see people stop going to church because of the crowds. And as we talked about, the colleges could shut down. And, of course, these foreign students at Troy.
There's no international travel abroad by any of the
Yeah, nobody. That's right. And you take Italy, we're talking about a whole country pretty much shutting down. And just think of the effect it's could have on our economy, on a lot of things.
Well, the
military.
The stock market's getting killed right now.
Yeah, the stock market's
Stock
getting
market went
killed.
down over 2,000 points, 7%.
But a
yesterday.
true investor loves it because they can buy that low and they know it's going to come back, you know. And true investors are pouring money into that.
This is a
because
great
of that.
buying opportunity. A lot of
Yeah.
people think.
It's a seller's market right now and a buyer's market, whatever. And of course, we're talking about the
What?
corona, and you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're making a mountain out of a molehill." And my mother used to use that saying sometimes, but
I thought it was molehill, but it's a molehill.
molehill, okay.
No, you had it right. I've just been saying it wrong my whole
Well,
life.
you know, my mama used a lot of three letter, not 3 letter words, but things like that, and you know, just things that stuck with you over the years.
You know, I was singing a song to my wife, as I'm prone to do, and I was singing, "Take the load off, Sally. Take the load for free." And she looked at me like I was crazy. Said, "Take a load off, Sally. It's take a load off, Annie." And so all this time, I've been getting the girl's name wrong. I think I confused it with there's another famous song lyric that the girl's name is Sally.
Yeah, exactly.
But we could talk about that.
Yeah.
All the things we've been singing and saying wrong our whole life.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'm also hearing stories of big companies. I mean, any one of their employees that have been recently on cruise ships or airplane flights, they're making those individuals stay at home for 2 weeks before they can come back to work. I've heard stories like that as well.
Probably the worst thing you can do, and I hate it for people that love to travel by on big boats and all that. I do. I enjoy it, and it's going to really hurt them because they're confined. I mean, if there's an outbreak, I mean, they're confined to that ship. I'm like Trump about that. I wasn't for them bringing these folks back to the country. You know, you're bringing in all of these folks. Now they're going to.
I mean, think if you had a loved one on one of those boats.
Yeah, it would be terrible. Daughter or son or family member or whatever. You're right. It would be tough. And well, I'm not saying just let them sit out there and waste, but take them somewhere where they could get off and but don't necessarily bring them back to the public. You know what I mean?
You talked about, Mike, events that might be canceled, and in some cases already have been canceled. Walt Disney World closed Walt Disney World China. Now they are considering closing Walt Disney World Orlando. Another thing I've heard that is happening is lots of organizations are canceling conventions. And you think of all the money those conventions bring into all these cities.
You know, the big event out in Austin they have every year is a huge event, and they've shut it down and so forth.
South by Southwest.
That's right, and that's
so
a
the
huge
hotel
event.
industry, the airports, and the airliners, the shipping companies, the
swimming
cruises.
pools, like you said.
We talked about it everything for a long time. You know, I'm in the wine business down here, and we're worried about the fact it's going to have on people canceling trips down here on 30A and throughout Destin and Destin.
Man, this thing could turn out to be just huge.
I can think.
What if it shut down college football now?
I think it could really hit. It's going to really hit all.
Money this week, though.
75 or something. Well, another thing, how about spring football games? I would almost tell you right now there won't be a spring football game at Alabama. I'm going to guess right now that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think there'll be a spring football game, and I don't know if fans will be
That's
able
what
to.
I'm saying, where fans can be able to attend. Well, one of the great basketball players out there said the other day, said, "Hey, if the fans can't watch it, I'm not going to play." That's what he said.
That was LeBron James that said that.
Yeah, that's right. But whether this is a can of worms, that's a good saying. Open up a can of worms.
There's another one that's opened up a can of something else.
We probably have, but I tell you, why is it happening so much in Italy, Mike, and not happening, say, in the United States?
In my research, I found out because Italy has the oldest population in the world, and
Older people.
it hits disproportionately older people, and it sometimes starts in nursing homes, and there's differing opinions on what the real rates are, because it depends. What the rates are depends on whether somebody's been tested or not. And a lot of these countries aren't testing people until they're already pretty bad.
Yeah.
So then they say there's a 6% chance.
That's what bothers me about
And then the other people say, well, think of all the people that haven't even been tested because they just had a very mild case of it, and so you don't really know the real transmission.
Well, let me
percentage.
just say one thing. Everybody says, "Oh, no, none in Alabama." You look at the map, and we're one of the very few states that have not had the virus. But you hit it on the nail. They haven't been tested. I bet there's a lot of people in Alabama that might have it, but they haven't been tested.
That's right. You don't know how many people have been tested.
A lot of people think it's just a basic flu or the basic.
The more people that
or
are
whatever.
tested, the higher the rates are going to be. So
Yeah. That's why Trump didn't want them to come in because of the numbers and all that. People will get excited over it and all that. But it is quite a thing.
Why don't we get a local doctor to come on and talk about this?
Yeah.
I know it would be good. I'll talk to my doctor and see if he'll come on. Hopefully they'll come up with a vaccination before it gets too crazy. And
Here's
like
what
you said, the odds are and the percentages are way.
Well, Alabama has 5 million citizens, and you said there's no case in Alabama. So
That's right.
I mean, that's 0 out of 5 million is the odds in Alabama so far.
Exactly. But what I'm saying, it's going to have an effect on several different things. Mike, something the huge hit us this past week was Troy, Alabama, is getting a new church on the Highlands. That is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's big, just the fact that it's such a fast-growing kind of mega church. You would expect that, I guess it'll be at Troy University, maybe at Troy Trenton Arena, I guess. Yeah, they usually have well over 1,000 people attend their services.
Yeah.
It started in.
I know in Birmingham it's more like about 3,000 or 4,000.
Started in. Why is it called the Church of the Highlands? There's an area in Birmingham.
That's just the name of it. I reckon the first one. In fact, at one time, didn't Camille go to that church one time years ago?
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. She went to another mega church. She went to Briarwood.
Yeah. But this is happening in Troy, Alabama. This huge church is coming to town, and I reckon one of the reasons they chose Troy is because of the university. And
I bet so, Mike. Yeah.
But it could have an effect on a lot of churches though, in our community.
We mentioned the other day that there's like 14 branches across the state of Alabama now.
Yeah.
And they've branched out. There's one in Columbus, so you caught my attention when you said that. So
but
they're getting. I would be interested to see the memberships of the biggest mega churches in America, and I understand that the Church of the Highland has 50,000 members. How many churches in America could have 50,000 members? Yeah. It's got to be one of the biggest churches in
the
America.
First Baptist Church in Troy has named a new leader, and he's coming to Troy, I think, in the last weekend of the month, around the 23rd, 24th, something like that.
First Baptist had the same preacher for years, hasn't
That's right. But new pastor at the First Baptist Church, I don't know. I don't have his name with me right this second, but I will say this, that originally he's from Birmingham and was there for many years, and then later he was in Pensacola at the First Baptist Church, I think, there in Pensacola for several years.
Wow.
And now he's coming to Troy to be the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Troy. So
boy, that's important.
all of this, and of course you're right, it's a big, strong church, no question about it. And but again, this virus could affect a lot of things.
Well, these are the Church of the Highland, 50,000 members. What if the Church of the Highland says no more church? Because it's like a sporting event, every one of those services.
Because in order to stop this thing, you're gonna have to get away from it. You don't you're gonna have to you don't confine yourself behind closed doors as much as.
A nice, good, clean place to be would be a casino right now.
Yeah, and let me tell you this: you're gonna hear something coming out of Las Vegas for long. You talk about shocking the world now. If they go on a shutdown out there, buddy, you talk about a lot of folks and a lot of money goes down the drain.
They got to have that cash flow.
Somehow Conference has come out with a statement from their Commissioner Keith Gill that as far as right now, the Sunbelt men's and women's basketball tournament in New Orleans will be proceeding as scheduled. So,
have any of those tournaments shut down? Have any of them shut down?
nobody shut down yet.
I think I read some Division III conference or teams have shut them down, but
And
not
what we
nobody
mean
big.
that they'll actually play the event, but just won't have the crowds.
I guess they would.
But wouldn't that be something?
God, the blessing of all blessings of this, of course, Bill has young kids and I have young kids. You know, I mean, so far there's been no cases with children when it comes to this.
Yeah, they done hit children. That is remarkable. You're right. And tell us that again, though. Tell us that what you heard there.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying there's been no documented cases of children being affected with the coronavirus, which is...
Seems like I heard, I listened to a lot of talk radio, and I heard one case of I want to say of a 5-year-old had the virus. But they're doing well. You know, they're strong. The people that have the hard time are the older people in nursing homes. That's what's happening out in Washington
Here's
State.
what-
See, in Washington State, they're in a nursing home
Yep.
of our health facility that has older people that
Yeah.
have weak.
Watch out for the nursing homes. That's right.
That's right.
What I read is that the real concern is the hospitals get overrun. If you have a outbreak in your community, you've got to be on the ventilators or the respirators that help you breathe, and they have only so few of those.
Exactly.
And then so the people rush in and they don't have enough respirators, and then they don't have enough doctors and nurses in rooms to treat people that have the other stuff that they come in, the heart attacks and the car wrecks and so forth. And so in a hurry, you can have a big crisis because the healthcare system isn't set up or can't handle it.
Yeah, I don't have all those facilities, and one of the things that really caught my attention was the number of you're exactly right. The number of hospitals and the number of cases right now. We've been lucky, but if it does come out and have a real outbreak, towns like Troy could be in trouble.
Well, and then so it's just the number of people that the hospital can accommodate, and they almost got to do triage, which is who do we treat? We treat the ones that are in the worst shape. Another point that's been made is where you're really having a lot of deaths is in countries that don't have as good healthcare facilities and healthcare to get to these people soon enough and treat them, which in most cases most people, 99 out of 100 people that come down with this survive.
Well, and they say the survival rate in China is real good.
Yeah, really, it might be more than that.
I mean, to China, I don't know what they're doing, but people are not dying of the virus in China in the numbers that they are, say, like in Italy.
It's a function, they say, of when you come in to the hospital. If you're already, in other words, if you're almost too far gone, there's not much they can do for you. But if you come in early enough, they can treat it.
Exactly right.
But they can't treat it if the hospital is overrun. You see what I'm saying?
And of course, we're not experts. We just are.
We're acting like it.
You know,
we play them on TV.
We're talking about things that we hear.
Holiday Inn Express last night.
But I did stay at a Holiday Inn
Well, this
Express,
is based
yeah.
on my reading in my show.
No, you're exactly right, and you've got a right to explain that part of it too.
Here are the symptoms of the coronavirus reported illnesses. The following symptoms may appear between 2 and 14 days after exposure. High fever, cough, and shortness of breath is what you need to look for.
High fever,
That's the
cough,
flu.
and shortness of breath.
That's pneumonia. Yeah.
Cough. and shortness of breath.
I've got 2 of them.
And shortness of breath. And like if it hits you right now, your lungs are not very strong. You'd have a hard time with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably true, Mike. That's true.
Don't you feel like it's weird though? You don't hear from anybody that actually has the coronavirus. Like there's been no reports or phone conversations of like, oh, well, how you doing? What do you feel like?
Yeah.
The quarantine for the 14 days. I mean, you're not hearing those interviews. I mean, are they taking cell phones away from people?
I don't know.
I mean, or do you not have any, communication with your loved ones? I mean, that's why I'm shocked that you don't have people like on the air, like explaining to people how they feel, even though they've been diagnosed with that coronavirus and they're going to be all right. Why don't they interview those people and make people feel more positive about things?
Well, because the news media lacks imagination and creativity. That's a good point. And
that's what I was telling my wife. I was like, if I had the coronavirus, would I be able to talk to my family? Would I be able to still do the show with you guys? Like, Michael's in a quarantine room in Great Beach, Florida, but he's still able to do the talk show every day.
Yeah,
sometimes you have the flu and it's mild, and you can kind of, it only lasts a day or two, or it's not too bad. And other times you have the flu where it just knocks you out for a week.
All right, we're talking about high fever, cough, and what's the last thing?
Shortness of breath.
Shortness of breath. So people are having a hard time breathing and whatever.
They appear between 2 and 14 days after exposure.
Let me tell you this. The president of the United States was in the same car with the guy that's got the virus.
Yeah, well, I read that.
I mean, in the same, and was around several other members of the
one country is
of his cabinet that were around that actually have come down with the virus.
one country that has it real bad is Iran, and I read where the Ayatollah, which is the leader of Iran, one of his top advisors, somebody on his cabinet, got it. Not only got it, died, deceased.
Oh boy!
So that guy, no telling, he had to come in contact with every top official in Iran, right?
Yeah. Do you think the symptoms are worse with some people than they are with other people? I mean, I know we already talked about people in good. I know we already talked about people that are in good shape. And
some people can have it right now and have no clue.
Yeah.
Most people probably, most people that this virus hits probably don't even know they've got it. Or they think it's a cold.
All right. You look at the dining room over at Troy University, or at the dining rooms at Charles Henderson, or any of our local schools. You got a bunch of kids and a bunch of people in the same room. But thank goodness most of these people are people that are in good health. Would you say?
As y'all are talking, it makes me think. I don't think the coronavirus is going to end up being a big deal as a health threat in America. But it makes you think about one of these days we're going to have a virus that is going to be a big deal, and you can see how fast it can ripple through and affect the whole world. And you see these movies and read these books of super viruses that spread over the country and how fast it can happen. The book The Stand was based on that. Stephen King's probably best known book. So it is, in that sense, this might not be as bad as everybody thinks it is. We hope it isn't. But one day, we could. And also they're supposedly in labs doing biological warfare and designing viruses, and you wonder one of these days if one of those things is going to accidentally get out of the lab or a terrorist.
Yeah, no question about it. We're going to take a short break. It is 8 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? We'll be right back.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa Know-How. Big discounts, big selection, and really big deals. It's the Big Pre-Owned Sale, only at Premier Chrysler Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Pre-owned vehicles start at $29.95. Over 50 vehicles under $15,000. $29 down. And you can drive today or take advantage of payments starting at $99 a month. That's $29 down. And payments starting as low as $99. From Montgomery to Dothan, the best pre-owned deal are Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at PremierChrysler.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
For the fifth major, I like that tournament.
Back to our show, brought to you by Hill and Brooks Coffee. Delicious coffee on our show today. Thanks to Steve. And Steve Kemp is, if there's any winners out there, he is one of them, I promise you.
He's a country boy who
He's
can survive.
hard-nosed. Right now, Mike, he comes in, he got a half a shoulder, man. He's got a...
Congratulations, Steve Camp. I think he's going to walk down the aisle again, I think I read.
Yeah, and he's got to get his shoulder fixed first. But he's in good shape. He's a tough guy. Let me just throw out a few things in golf. We're talking about this weekend. The largest tournament in the world as far as fan participation is this weekend in Florida. Mike at Poncho Vitra.
That's a public course. I mean, anybody can play that course.
That's right. But they expect 90,000 people a day. They expect 90,000 people a day to be in and around that golf course. And now, what do you think this virus is going to do to this golf tournament?
I don't know. I mean, I think as far as I know, they're going to play it.
Or does it matter if it's outside or inside? I would think the virus would be more contagious if it was inside, wouldn't you think?
I think.
I would feel better outside.
I don't think the virus is like hot weather as much.
Yeah. And, hopefully we'll...
All those galleries, they do crowd around each other.
Yeah. But, of course, this is going to be a great golf tournament. And, Jim Furyk, one of my favorite golfers, he lives on that golf course. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at some of the statistics on golf. The driving accuracy, he leads in driver's accuracy at 80% of the time he hits it in the fairway. And greens in regulation, Jim Furyk again. We're talking about a guy that's 50 years old, along with Mike.
Older than that.
Older than that. And he leads in that at 76%. But I'll tell you something. A guy named Boo Weekley, who we know very well, is number 3 in greens regulation. And again, Boo Weekley, as far as sand saves, Boo Weekley leads the tour in sand saves with 75%.
What's driving distance? Does it show?
Yeah, driving distance. It shows it. You've got Gary Woodland at 63. It doesn't show that.
How far they hit an average drive?
Driving. Here we go. Bryson DeChambeau, Chambeau, or whatever you name his name. He leads the tour at 321 yards every time he hits it. Rory McIlroy is right behind him at 320. Cameron Champ is at 319. And Bubba, my favorite golfer, Bubba Watson, is at 318. Sergio, did you know Sergio was the 5th longest driver on the tour?
Well, you know why I asked that? I am, I'm working on this story on Griff McCrary.
Yeah.
The feature story, just finished it. Colin and Connie McCrary's son, senior at Charles Henderson High School. I'm told by several people his average drive is 315 yards.
That is way, way out
and
there.
He won a tournament over Christmas break in Auburn. And
he weighed 150 pounds, doesn't he?
He hit a drive in that tournament 350 yards.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, he's 5'8".
So he has Tourette's, is that correct?
That's right. That's what the story's about.
It's a great story.
How can you control that? In the middle of your golf swing, is there medicine? How's that work?
He takes medicine, but it's one of the miracles of his life is that when he stands over a golf ball, he doesn't have any of his tics. And so he just suddenly can concentrate and be relaxed. And then the other amazing thing is that his outbursts don't happen when his playing partners are hitting the ball. So he doesn't disturb his playing partners. Now in between shots, his Tourette's symptoms will shock people, but he doesn't affect anybody when they're playing. But the thing with the story is, this is Griff. The way he hits the ball, his club head speed is 116 miles per hour, sometimes over,
unreal.
which is beyond PGA players at 17 years old. So he hits a 315-yard drive today. You would think after
Yeah,
1 or 2
amazing.
years of junior college, he's going to be.
And I'll
hitting
tell
it
you
even
right now,
further.
he doesn't weigh 150 pounds, I don't think.
He's
not-
thick. He looks like he's muscular. And,
yeah, exactly.
But
I can't imagine any kid really being a huge successful golfer having Tourette's. I mean, that's got to be the story, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
it
the
is.
story. Is nobody that hits this good has ever had Tourette's as bad as he has
Yeah.
it. Is the story.
This is a great story, and I'm gonna tell you.
That's a story that might be picked up by ESPN.
Yeah,
Well,
they
I'm
could make a movie
sending
out
it
of
to Golf Magazine is where we're starting off with. So we hope that,
That's great.
and it'll educate people on what Colin and Connie and Griff have gone through, which has been an amazing ordeal.
You know, I was going to mention a few other things that would surprise you a little bit. Well, scoring average, McIlroy leads in scoring average at 68.4, followed by Webb Simpson, Tyrell Hatton, and Justin Thomas. This was Eagles. Who would you think, Mike, would lead the tour in Eagles?
I would say Justin Thomas.
He is not one of them, but of course, Dustin Johnson leads in Eagles 41 one Eagle every 41 holes. And
The big news about the Players' Championship is Tiger's not going to play. He's still got some back issues and didn't feel well enough to play, so that's going to
yeah, that'll hurt it.
some of the television. Mickelson's going to play, and he can make a cut right now. So it really comes down to right now in golf. You know, Koepka's coming off an injured knee, so you're basically following Thomas and McIlroy. Those are really the two guys to beat right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I picked my my winners in the Masters. You can get odds on who's going to win the Masters. I've got Justin Thomas is 1,400, so that's 14 to 1. I like the kid. I like Reed. Reed just won a tournament. Patrick Reed. I think he's 22 to 1. The guy from Fiji, from Utah, that's so tall that hits the ball so far.
Tony Finau, but he's only won one tournament on the tour.
But he's a long hitter that should do well at the Masters.
Tiger's got to be number one.
Well, Rahm, no, the number one guy, Mike, by far is McIlroy. Then
I'm talking about the odds to win the Masters.
oh yeah. Well, I would think
McIlroy's the favorite, I think. McIlroy.
I would think John Rahm would, Rahm, how you ever spell it,
Yeah,
is,
up there too.
would be one of the top guys, and
He is.
DeChambeau and
I mean, I still can't get over Spieth. I mean, Spieth's just nowhere to be found anymore. He's just disappeared.
he fell in love. I think that's what happened to him. I'm thinking Brooke Koepka the same way. he got to be a movie star instead of all these movie stars are wanting to be around him.
How
know?
you handle success is
Koepka had a knee injury. He's coming off a knee injury.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch golf the next few weeks if this virus will hold off. I'm telling you, if this.
They're still going to play golf. It's just a matter of a crowd to be there. All these games are going to take place, and television is going to probably be able to cover it, but we're just not knowing if actual fans can attend these events.
Exactly. Well, of course.
The big issue is, March Madness is coming up, and a lot of father-sons, a lot of people's dreams are to be in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
The start of the NCAA tournament. That's going to be interesting.
Is that where it's going to be in Las Vegas?
No, I'm just saying so many people flock to Las Vegas for
Yeah.
NCAA tournament, March Madness. I mean, it's like one of the biggest times of the year out there as far as people traveling out there, wanting to be there to watch all the games and be around all that atmosphere.
Yeah.
My wife's got a good friend.